The Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations were created with the objective of achieving a better and more sustainable future for all by addressing the global challenges that our society faces. Having this in mind, we have noticed the deficiencies that Mexico faces in infrastructure terrain and how it affects Mexican society, economy, and life quality of their citizens. Despite steady improvements in manufacturing output and employment, renewed investment will be needed in the least developed countries to build new infrastructure and ensure the doubling of the industrial share of GDP in those countries by 2030. We are taking this investigation to foreigners from a middle-class level, and we are expecting to receive some gratificant information, since they all come from different backgrounds. The main problem we may face is the judging of our country by the interview individuals, but as well we may receive some gratificant feedback and may be able to improve our situation. How can the opinion of someone else change the way you live? This is the question we want to answer with this investigation. These people, which we will investigate, may provide a bright angle to our situation because of their different background, and may help our society improve and take down the things that does not let us do so. In this edition of our podcast, we will discuss the problems that Mexican infrastructure faces and how to find a solution for these problems. So, in order to do so, here are the interviews. Enjoy!
Think that the roads in Mexico are in good conditions?
No.
Okay, right. Thanks.
I would say 10% yes, 90% no.
Yeah, I'm completely.
And it's even worse if you go to the DF.
Yes. Yeah,
this is incredible.
So, from what you have seen in Mexico, do you think that a person deserves to live in a house that is like 60 times 90 square meters? It's a very small house, 60 times 90. Absolutely
not enough space. We are not in Japan, we are not in Tokyo.
Yeah, okay.
Where you live like bees.
And you've seen our public transportation, right? Do you think it is efficient and safe?
Efficient may be, safe, I don't know because I don't use it.
Okay, don't use it.
No. The thing is, for example, I always have someone who drives me around.
Yes. Yeah, it's here in Mexico. It's safer. I went to Germany last year, and well, I love the public transportation you have there.
It is nice.
It's nice.
The problem we have in Germany is if you use the train network, for example, it's never on time.
No,
always delayed.
Like 5.
So when I was traveling last Friday from Frankfurt Ulm to Frankfurt Airport, normally I need 2 hours.
Okay. Yeah, that will happen. So, do you think that the Mexican government it's making a good job and that you can trust them?
I shall send you
That's a very difficult and dangerous question.
Yes.
I cannot comment on trust. Talking about if they are doing a good job, at this very moment I'm not able to answer the question because I heard the story about the new airport. And this is not the government which is in charge right now, this is the next one already.
Yes.
And you cannot stop a project where you already invested millions of dollars.
Billions.
Plus, you spend now money to satisfy the people who should have got contracts.
Exactly.
So in that case, I say no.
No. Okay.
I agree.
And you were talking about federal government.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. From what you've seen, do you think that the public services like water, electricity, and in this case trash are efficient? Well, from what you have seen.
Out of 100 points, I would say 70.
70%? Okay.
70 points out of 100.
Okay.
Because the further away you move from the big cities, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
We have a production in Zacapu.
Yes.
Zacapu is in the middle of nowhere and the services are so.
Okay. Do you think that the public schools or public hospitals have the correct equipment? I don't know if you have been to a public school.
Cannot answer that.
You cannot answer that? Okay, it's fine.
And for heaven's sake, I was not in a hospital so far.
Okay. Now, this is very important. Do you think that the materials of constructions involving buildings or roads, railroads, are the best quality in order to have security here in Mexico?
That depends on what you want to achieve, and that depends on the project. You can have some projects where you have minor roads and you use minor materials. But if you go to all your expressways, for example, you must use high quality materials. So I think in Mexico everything is available. But it's always a question, where is it available? And what are the costs involved if I have to bring high quality material from A to B? If it's a distance of 1,500 kilometers, maybe it makes a sense because of money. But at the end of the day, what I would say, I better invest my money in the first instance to have a good result, and especially if we talk about safety of the road users, safety of the users of the infrastructure. This is road, this is rail, and that's also water. Every single investment must be focused on people, and then you know what to do.
Okay, and now I think you answered a little bit, but do you think that the country, Mexico, has the necessary technology to develop?
Yes.
Yes? And what do you think is the reason that we are not using it to develop properly?
The reason why I think the answer was somehow given today. People expect too much. But what I was missing here, you know, when they were talking about you as a student, you have to also, if you learn to be an engineer, civil engineer, or whatever engineer, you should also know everything or most of the things about environment, about sustainability, and so on. I think it should be different, because we need, out of every discipline, or in every discipline, we need really sophisticated experts. And then it comes down to communication and how I put groups together. And I think today what I learned is that some people expect too much from students, from engineers, or whatever discipline they come. Your brain has a certain capacity to store and work on information. And what we expect from people nowadays is far too much. And here's the reason.
Yes.
We get too much information in a very short time. You have to digest. It's impossible. And in my eyes, you have potential people here. You have motivated people. 250 students. But everyone should be an expert in his discipline, and then better set up groups from different disciplines and decide what to do. Because you always need the best of both worlds. Sustainability work, biology work, and engineering work. But no one is capable of knowing everything about biology or sustainability, or let's say biology, and at the same time can be a sophisticated civil engineer, because we are drifting away in two different sections. But the basics of biology, the basics of environmental thing, every one of us, whether we are old or young, we know exactly what we have to do to save the planet, because this is our job. So you have the potential, you just have to organize in the right way.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's everything for the questions. Can you please say your name and where you come from for the record? Yes.
Horst Erdlin from JRS, Edmeyer und Söhne, producers of fibers designed by nature from Germany.
Okay. Thank you very much.
De nada.
ask us to choose one of them.
Okay.
And we choose the one of infrastructure.
Right. Okay.
Right. So we want to land a specific subject of how foreign people see the infrastructure from Mexico.
Okay.
Your complete perspective comparing to your country.
Okay. Okay.
So the first questions are pretty easy.
I don't have huge experience of Mexico, so
Don't worry. From what you've seen.
from what I've seen, yeah. Okay. I've been to Monterrey, Mexico City, and here.
Okay, that's perfect. So, from what you've seen, do you think that Mexico's roads are in good conditions?
The ones I've seen are in good condition. Yeah.
Do you think that a person deserves to live in a house that is 60 times 90 square meters?
60 times 90.
Yeah.
How big's that? Yeah, that's cool. That's pretty big. 60 times 90. Meters.
Yeah, it's like
Four and a half thousand.
4,500.
Yeah.
So, in your opinion, do you think it's good?
It's by world standards it will be small. But there are parts of the world where people live in small houses like that. So I think it's. I would say it's probably small, but more importantly depends on the quality rather than the size. The quality and the surrounding infrastructure. Yeah.
And from what you've seen, because I don't think that you have getting public transportation, I don't think so.
No, well I have before, not this visit, but before I've used the bus.
So, do you think the public transportation from Mexico is efficient?
Well, in Mexico City the buses were good, but they were very, very full and very old.
Okay. And from what you've heard or seen from Mexico's government, do you think they're making a good job and that you can trust them?
Talking about the federal government.
Federal government. Yeah. Well, I know the federal government from their involvement in PIARC, when Oscar was chair of PIARC and I was in PIARC, and so I think participation in those things is a good part of government. So they're doing that well. But I don't know in Mexico itself how well they are doing. I know from international news that there are problems, but
and also, have you been to public schools or a public hospital, maybe?
No, I haven't. No.
Have you heard something from the public schools or hospitals from Mexico?
I haven't heard from schools. I know that healthcare is difficult in Mexico. Particularly for people who are very poor.
And do you think that the materials that are being used here in Mexico for constructions, for buildings and roads, are from the best quality to achieve the efficiency here in Mexico?
It seems like there is a lot of variety of materials that are used, and I think that I think perhaps people are still thinking about materials specifically from their engineering properties and very sort of normal materials, standard materials, And I think perhaps what isn't being done is making the best use of the materials that you have, the most available materials, and trying to think how you can use them more cleverly. So using more recycled and waste materials. I think all the moves to do that are good. I always think when I come to countries like Mexico, it's good to learn from other countries, but it's also important to remember that when other countries come to tell you something, often it's what they want to tell you. It's not necessarily what's the best for you, and you need to sort of think about that, and hear what people say, and then think about whether actually that suits you in the best way.
Okay, the last question that I think is the most important. Do you think that Mexico has the necessary technology in order to develop?
Yes, I think it does. I think Mexico is not a country that's behind lots of parts of the world. You know, it's on a relative scale, it's an advanced country, and it has problems. Lots of countries have problems, but you know, at your best, you have the technology to develop. You have the young people. You have the skills. The most important thing for development is the skill of your population. It's the welfare of your population, because then they can become educated. They can learn. They can develop. They may develop at a slower pace from another country or a faster pace, but it will develop at the pace which is best for the country.
Okay.
So I think that would be, I think you have those skills.
Okay, that's all for the questions.
Okay.
Can you please state your name and where you come from?
Yeah, I'm Simon Price, and I come from the United Kingdom.
Okay, thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure to speak to you.
The Sustainable Development Goals for 2030?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so we chose the one of infrastructure, right? And specifically how foreign people see the infrastructure from Mexico.
Okay. Well,
so, some questions.
Yes.
Some ones are pretty specific and some ones are general.
Yeah.
So, do you think that the roads in Mexico are in good conditions?
in terms of the maintenance of the roads, I don't feel that. Of course, like all the questions in the life, all is relative. And in terms of the other countries in this area are better, but according to the normal reference in Europe, is not at the same level. For that, I try to during these days propose or to explain which is our approach in Spain and in Europe to consider which is the influence in other very important aspects of the maintenance of the roads.
Okay. Do you think, from what you've seen, that the public transportation in Mexico is efficient and safe?
I don't use the public transport in Mexico except the planes. Is my unique reference. I see, for example, the tramways or the bus. In my opinion, I don't know very well, but I feel it's used. It is very common to see a full bus with many people inside. That's for me means probably many people use that, but it's other approach totally different in terms of my reference in Spain or in Madrid is a little bit different.
Okay. Do you think that the Mexican government, federal, is making a good job, and do you think that you could trust them?
Perdón, siempre es un gusto. Ahí lo vio. Estaré escribiendo.
Nunca molestarás, siempre es un placer.
Muchas gracias.
Seguimos en contacto.
Sí, muchas
Me alegro
gracias.
mucho de verte. Gracias. Excuse me. Yes, in terms of the government, it's more difficult for me to give an answer because I don't know very well. Which is I heard some reference in terms of you change with a new president, new indications, new decisions. Well, I don't consider I am able to give a right answer to this question. Excuse me.
Don't worry.
Okay.
From your visits here in Mexico, do you think that public services such as water, electricity, and trash, the transportation of trash, is efficient here?
Well, it depends. For example, in terms of the water, yes, why not consider? Other question is the quality of the water. I don't know. I feel it's much better than the past. In the past, this whole thing I think is I feel an improvement in this area. In terms of the electricity. Capacity in the hotels normally is okay. I don't feel that. But in terms, for example, in other very important infrastructure for me is the velocity of the internet or the transfer of the data. I feel a big difference between Europe and Spain and Mexico because there in Spain we have the normal reference is 10 megas, 100 megas, or the last reference is 300 megas. And here is very difficult. I don't find that.
Okay. So, have you seen or been to a public school or a public hospital?
No.
No?
Excuse me.
Don't worry. And here, do you think that the materials we use for construction, either for buildings or for roads, is the best quality and in order to have security?
Well, I have some experience because on the past, in '86, I was here in Mexico. It was my first time to create a company share with ICA Group. And well, I know very well your company, your elements. On the past, big difference in terms of the health and safety measures to prevent the hazards or the risk of the accidents. But I feel you have an improvement. Always the reference is there is a difference between Europe and here, but I feel each year is less than the precedent. That means you improve a good level, a good. Congratulations! I feel each day is more and more best.
Okay. And the last question: do you think that this country, Mexico, has the necessary technology in order to develop properly?
I don't feel so. I don't feel that, but I don't feel this. My answer in all the countries will be not. My approach is. Today I try to explain that we have at this moment we have many changes. The 4 groups, GAFA is the name, Google, Apple, Facebook and Amazon, show the way to improve quickly the change of the strategy in all the innovations. And I feel we need to consider, it's not a question of a country, it's necessary to consider the cooperation and the solutions to the global problems at the same level. We need to find the cooperation to solve these problems at global level also. That means why don't consider in relation with Spain or in relation to Germany, it's very easy to do that. The capacity and the communication is much better than the past, and this is my approach. Don't consider isolated a country. Consider the global possibilities from all the countries involved.
Okay. Thank you very much. Can you state your name and where you come from?
Yes, my name is Juan José Poti. I come from Spain, and I am the president of the ASEFMA. ASEFMA, that means the Association of the to produce asphalt bituminous mixtures in Spain.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
By taking into account the opinions of people that are not originally from here, we may take conscience of our situation and may improve in diverse aspects. Maybe by seeing how other countries see us, we may feel that the country needs to change for better for everyone. Citizens from the country, foreigners living there, and every other individual that looks this way to see our progress.